Here at the Co-op Bros, we're no stranger to putting together a good list. Best co-op roguelikes? Got it. Best co-op game on Steam? No problem. Best co-op game of the year? Yeah, this ain't our first rodeo, cowboy. But we're not ones to rest on our laurels. Even in a year that feels like it's been sandwiched between two amazing years, we've still put together a list of 10 co-op games that we believe are special. 2024, for us at least, is a year of variety. You want scary games to play with your friends, cute games to play with your friends, open world, mission-based, roguelikes. This year, we played them all. Granted, we didn't play every co-op game that was released this year, we're just a humble two-man operation, so if we miss one of your favorites, mention it in the comments below. Let's kick off the top 10 co-op games of 2024.
In a year full of unique co-op experiences, it's fitting that we're starting this list with one of the most peculiar games we played this year in Linked Banner of the Spark. This is a genre mashup blending hack and slash combat with roguelite and town building mechanics. While on missions, you and two other friends get to beat on enemies using super unique weapons and upgrading your kit via simple roguelike progression. When you go back home, you get to complete requests for your little robot friends, build new structures, and you can actually have a total of 6 friends hanging out with you in this portion of the game. The town building is basically Animal Crossing but with robots, and it works surprisingly well. The game is currently in early access, but its launch was a pretty hefty amount of content, featuring 4 out of the total 9 chapters, which amounts to 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. One of the more impressive aspects of Linked is how it supports full shared progression, meaning everything you unlock or work towards in your friend's town transfers over to yours. Like I said, the game features 3 to 6 player online co-op and is exclusive to Steam. If you're curious about it, make sure you watch our impressions video, and we also got to interview the team behind the game. It's a game we're excited to go back to for 1.0, but there's definitely enough here to dive in now, and that earned it this number 10 spot.
Similarly, Enshrouded made it into our list despite being an early access title because there's plenty of meat on the bone with what's already here. This is an open world action title with some light town building and survival elements that help it stand out from the crowd. It was also extremely accessible, with the ability to even host your own server so anyone in the squad can hop in whenever they please. But even if you didn't do that, you can bring a character from your own solo world to your friend's world and retain your loot and experience from every session, something that we feel like we never see nowadays. The open world fits into a more classic Ubisoft approach with map markers truly everywhere, but the lack of organic exploration is made up with how seamless it is for you and your friend, or 2 friends, or 3 friends, or up to 16 friends to travel from your base to a tower to glide down into a point of interest below. And I would say that seamlessness is the standout feature of Enshrouded. While there is a ton to offer here, from combat and dungeons to puzzles and platforms to crafting and skill trees, it is less about how good each of these pieces are and more so that they're all there and easy to do together. It's a surprisingly casual game when you get into it, and a great way to chill with friends. That's why it's on the list, and why we imagine it's only going to continue to add more fun for you and your group in the months and years to come.
When you've been playing games as long as we have, you find yourself looking for more unique titles, not just another co-op shooter or an overcooked clone. Flock is unlike anything we've played, and the best way I can sell this game is that it's the co-op birding game we didn't know we wanted. This indie title sees you and your online co-op partner flying through various biomes, collecting these bird, fish, snake-like creatures, and filling in your Pokedex-like encyclopedia. It's a really chill experience that totally nails the sense of discovery when you find a rare creature. There are small ways to work together, like helping each other with the charming minigame, and in general, it helps having an extra set of eyes when you're on the hunt for the more elusive creatures. You're not just flying around collecting creatures for no reason though. There are objectives and even larger set pieces that you have to complete to unlock new biomes and finish the game. Overall, I think this is a game just about anyone can enjoy. It balances great visuals and music with some equally engaging gameplay, which isn't something these artsy games always pull off. If you're looking for a chill, cozy online co-op game, Flock is out on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles, and we very much recommend it.
If Flock is unlike anything we've played before from a chill perspective, Outlast Trials is unlike anything we've played before on the other side of that spectrum. How the devs at Red Barrels were able to take the Outlast formula and translate it to co-op is nothing short of astounding, and it actually works. You've got classes that change how you approach an objective, those objectives require real teamwork and communication, all the while you're still absolutely terrified every single moment of this experience. That's the Outlast way. They towed that line between giving you tools and powers to manage the enemies in a level while also not feeling like this is a full-on action title. Some of our best highlights of the year came from Outlast Trials, like when we narrowly escape our pursuers, just like this one here.
Oh god, he's right here, dude. He's right here.
Wait, don't move. Don't move.
Dude, he didn't see us. What?
Oh, crap. Dude, the darkness, I'm telling you. Where one was the darkness.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Oh god. Nope.
Don't say anything, bro. Don't breathe. This guy's blind, dude. I don't think he can see you unless he maybe...
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, dude. Okay.
Plus, this is a title that was released for all consoles and PC barring the Switch, with cross-play and cross-progression. For a studio's first attempt at a multiplayer experience, we had no issues playing with each other and it was all smooth sailing, outside of the jump scares, of course. It may not bring the story forward by much, but the gameplay loop here is a real accomplishment, and we've been singing Outlast Trials praises since we played. Just remember though, kids, this ain't one for the faint of heart.
2 years before we took on the haunted halls of the Trials, I convinced Andrew to play The Forest in anticipation of its sequel, Sons of the Forest. While we enjoyed the original, it had a lot of flaws. A lack of guidance and some lackluster combat were the main issues, both of which have been incredibly improved upon with Sons of the Forest. Every part of the experience has leveled up though, resulting in the most immersive survival game we've played. From the tactile crafting system to the wildlife and cannibals and the insane lighting engine, the island has never felt more alive. Of course, to stay alive yourself, you'll need to rely on your friends to work together to stay fed, fight off cannibals, and build up shelter. The bigger goal though is solving the mysteries of the island, and this is really the best part of the co-op experience. It was a ton of fun to piece things together as a group and watch our theories either be totally on the money or completely off base, as we were shook by some truly wild revelations. We were there for its early access launch last year and its 1.0 release this year. If like us, you haven't gone back to it since early access, we very much recommend you check out all the new content. Sons of the Forest is out on PC, featuring 8-player online co-op, and if you're a horror survival fan, you owe it to yourself to check this one out.
I can confidently say that no game has had me more hooked this year than Ravenswatch. We played this back at its early access release and knew immediately it was something special, and a little over a year later, we were proven right. The shorthand for Ravenswatch is Hades but in co-op, but that honestly doesn't do the title justice. Ravenswatch is a roguelike with isometric action, but it's also a hero-based title with a unique time-based loop that we rarely see in the genre. The heroes are the standout, with each one being viable, fun to play, and wholly unique from the others. Playing as Geppetto, you're working as a summoner-focused class, while playing as Wukong, you're focused on quick counterattacks, whereas the Pied Piper is almost like a twin-stick shooter but with a flute and rats. Every time we tried a hero, we left saying it completely changed how the game felt. Despite that, each hero hits that nice blend you see in a Monster Hunter weapon. You think you know your hero after your first couple of runs, but you're always learning new ways to play them as they level up. The other part of Ravenswatch that hooked us was the difficulty. It's also the reason we have it a little bit lower on the list. The setup of powering up by doing objectives and side quests within a timer before taking on a chapter boss requires perfect execution, which can feel great on a team, but it also means the game is not accessible to everyone. I mean, seriously, don't try this if you're wanting a fun challenge. This is for the grinders, the stat checkers, the strat tweakers, which it turns out we are, and if that's you too, it is an absolute must play.
Similar to Ravenswatch, V-Rising also saw its big 1.0 launch this year, adding more content to what was already a fairly complete experience. If you follow the channel, you might remember V-Rising took home our #1 co-op game of 2022 award. So if you can imagine we thought it was pretty great then, it's a certified banger now. We've mentioned 2 other survival games on this list, but where V-Rising truly has the edge is in its stellar combat. With a slick dodge, great boss design, and some decent build variety, V-Rising is the first survival game with a deep combat system to match its equally complex crafting mechanics. Partnering up here makes such a big difference, as you want as many hands on deck to build the most efficient vampire lair. The gameplay loop works so well because there's always something to do and work towards. You can have a pair of players out resource hunting, others fighting a boss, and someone back home managing all the crafting tables. Typical for a crafting game, all the systems feed onto to themselves, creating a super engaging loop. This is one of those games that's really hard to put down once you really get into it. Per its 1.0 launch, V-Rising is officially out on PlayStation aside from PC and featuring up to 10-player online co-op. And with that, let's get into our top 3 co-op games of 2024.
I think Gabe put it perfectly when he described Helldivers II as the kind of game you used to rush home from school to play with your friends. It's a perfect concoction of slapstick humor and tight cooperative gameplay that makes for an instant classic. Each round of Helldivers forces you to communicate and work together. It's not always just explosion and death threats, although it often devolves into that. There is a deeply strategic approach to the higher difficulties that puts you in the pressure cooker to make it happen. But you can also just approach the experience on a lower difficulty as a casual way to blow shit up with your friends. It's truly what you make of it. Helldivers also does what few games manage to pull off. It created a non-toxic community of players that actually wanted to help each other. Even if we couldn't fill up a full squad, it was fun to play with randoms and use the ping system to push toward objectives or giant enemy strongholds that you wanted to take out. The stratagem system is a ton of fun too. Nothing's better than raining down massive ballistics in a coordinated effort with your boys. We wish there were more cooperative stratagems than what we got, and we'd be dishonest if we didn't mention the first few weeks were a nightmare to play through thanks to bugs and server issues, but Helldivers 2 pushed past that to be one of the best cooperative games of the year, full stop.
No game has elicited more hell yes from your boys this year than Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Aside from a buggy launch, Space Marine 2 was everything we wanted it to be. It's one of the most complete co-op packages we've seen, with it featuring a 3-player co-op campaign and an additional co-op missions mode. If you too miss the good old days of a simple co-op campaign where each person plays as a real character in the story, Space Marines 2 has you covered. But if you're looking for a more modern experience where you get to create your own Space Marine and work together with a squad using different classes, then the Operations mode is for you. While both modes are great, Operations is where co-op shines, as some of the higher difficulties really challenge you to work together with your team. Each class has a role to play, and half of them even offer some direct co-op abilities like the Heavy's Dome Shield. You have to coordinate with your team on when to use these abilities, calling out elite enemies, and how to tackle objectives in order to succeed. When you enter that flow state with your bros, the soundtrack blaring in your ears, a Xenos neck underneath the cold steel of your boot, it's hard to deny Space Marines 2 is a must-play co-op game.
With both Helldivers 2 and Space Marines 2 coming in as runner-ups, I know what you're thinking. Are these guys really going to crown Cat Quest III as the best co-op game of 2024? Yes, we are. What other game packages a perfectly crafted armor and weapon system in a tightly paced, dungeon-crawling, open-world, cat-themed adventure with some of the best and funniest writing we've seen all year, and it doesn't launch with server issues? Cat Quest freaking 3, baby. Gabe and I enjoyed every second of our experience with Cat Quest 3. The armor and weapon system delivers several builds that you actually can coordinate with, and the combat is just challenging enough to make it worthwhile. And since the loot in this game does change how you play, we were always encouraged to explore every nook and cranny and complete every side quest. There's plenty to do with each inch of this map, purposefully made for you to have a good time. Even the short but satisfying endgame kept us hooked as we powered up to beat the biggest baddies in the 7 Seas. Spending 12 hours in Cat Quest 3 with your best friend, or your partner, or your kids is an excellent use of your time. And that versatility, that perfect gameplay, with the purr being P-U-R-R because it's freaking Cat Quest 3, is why it's the best co-op game of 2024 in our books.
And that was our top 10 co-op games of 2024. I think we did a pretty good job, but there were many more co-op games this year, so shout out some of your favorites down below. If you're curious about any of the games on the list, we've done a review for nearly all of them, so go take a look there. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so you're up to date with all the co-op games releasing in 2025. Thank you for your support this year, and a big thank you to our Patreon producers as well. We'll catch you next year on another episode of The Co-op Bros.